Well, this is trout hunting, isn't it?
It sure is. It's stalking. It's
ooh, right down there on the point of the rocks.
Yeah, I've seen him. You know, we've seen some fish rising. We're just.
I noticed there was an adult. You were sending the spinners that looked like an adult Calabeatis.
Well, what they are is the Calabeatis really are a lake fly. You don't find many rivers that even have Calabeatis, but they're spinners and they land on the water.
Here's one right here.
And put their wings upright. Yeah. See, this is a no-hackle that I fished with the other day, and instead of having the wings all pretty and all that, they're beat up. And this is a pretty good imitation of that Calabeatis because he has his wings up. Yeah. So if you're good to me, I might sell you one of these, Jack.
All right, they're
pretty expensive out here in the river, though.
You know, I've watched you tie them for years as we've done the seminars together, and I've concluded it's best to get ones that you endorse have tied rather than me tie them.
The ones I endorse are the ones that are the most beat up.
Okay, good.
It takes me a couple of fish to get them looking right.
So they'll cost more that way, right?
They do, yeah. Proven.
All right. So you're going to be using your no-hackles for this?
I think so, but we also have a spent spinner that we might. Sometimes the spent imitation is better too. So what we'll do, we've got a little bit of a downstream cast, and we'll drop the fly and just kind of feed it down in there. See, now he's to the right even more.
His old head came out of the water that time.
Right, now there he is again. Our fly's in the neighborhood. It's a little bit to the left. It's just getting in the zone now, so.
Oh, all right.
Finally got that rascal.
Well, we matched the hatch.
And
get out of your way here.
These weeds are going to cause trouble.
I'll get your net here, and I can be the netter.
Calabeatis on the Henry Fork. I just didn't expect that. We saw spinners, spent spinners, and we saw upright spinners.
Yeah, this is one of the only rivers that I know that it comes off on. You get a lot of them on Silver Creek. A lot of other spring creeks, especially when you have sloughs and stuff, but they're more prominent in lakes. That's where you really see a lot of these in the west.
So this fly can be used both in lakes or rivers.
Oh yeah, it's a great lake dry fly. But the way we're going to tie it's hard in lakes because it's hard to see. We're going to just tie the actual spent spinner, and that's what we were prepared to fish today. And it just got going and the wind kind of blew them off, and that's why the wind hurts the fishing, is because spinners are trying to come to the water and lay their eggs, and the wind blows them away and they can't.
Same thing in lakes too.
Yeah,
you know, blows them off a lot.
So we're going to, since this is a dry fly, we're using a dry fly hook. This is a TMC model 100. I love that hook. Going to use a kind of a cream colored thread. They have a cream colored body and kind of a speckled wing. So what we're going to start out with is we're going to put the tails on first. And Calabeatis have a very widely split tail, but I don't usually worry about that too much. These are some of these synthetic tail fibers. They're called microphybettes. You're just going to get
sure it isn't fibbettes?
Fibbettes, maybe, whatever.
Fibbettes, fibbettes.
What I think it is synthetic brush.
Well, it's a paintbrush. It's an artist paintbrush.
Yeah, that's what it is. So, that, you know, we can call it what we want, but that's what it is. And I don't usually worry about splitting the tails on a spinner. Now, the natural mayflies do have a widely split tail, but I don't think the fish care if the tail's split or not. So I put about 4 fibers on here.
Sure, not 6?
And then no, that's all I'm going to do.
Okay.
See, those are kind of split up, and
you want to keep the tails sparse, though.
Keep them sparse, you bet. You don't need much for tails, but just so we got a tail showing there.
What's your length on that?
Oh, that's a good point, Jack. The tail should be about 1.5 times the hook shank. So that's important, something that we needed to talk about. We're going to put some of these partridge feathers again, the good old partridge, only this time we're going to use these gray ones.
I notice you have yours in the skin, and that's a great way to buy it.
I love the skins, yeah. And, you know, I collect my own because I love to hunt birds, and it's pretty simple to prepare a skin so that it'll last for your tying, and you just want to scrape all the fat off and then just rub it with borax. Now see, I've got 2 of these feathers that are gray instead of brown, and what we're going to do, I'm going to tie these spent, and we're going to turn them so the curvature is going opposite of each other, like this.
Like the old fan wing coach.
Right, and you can see there's a lot of feather there, but we're going to kind of bunch that up. Now we're going to peel some of this back so we're not using so much of the fibers.
Right.
And the wings should be the same length as the body. And so what I generally do is tie them on here first, and we'll use the pinch method, where you pinch the wings against the hook shank and then push the thread up, pinch it between your finger and thumb, and then pull it tight. And that way you can keep these from rolling over. And then usually before I tighten it up too much, I pull it a little bit just to kind of make the wings the proper length. Just checking these for length. See, I've still got some room to maneuver because I haven't really tightened the thread down. Now we'll wrap over that. Then we're going to stand these wings up like this and wrap right up in front of them so they stand straight up. And then we're just going to come in and try to grab about half of the fibers on one side and half on the other. And then we're just going to figure 8 around them and move them into the spent position. And as we keep working them, we can tie them in where they're spent. So there they are.
That's
pretty
really
nice.
good.
So then what we're going to do is come back now, and we could put the full body with dubbing. But one thing that's kind of neat on the dubbing, these are turkey feathers, and this is called the turkey biot up here on this end. And that'll give us a little segmentation.
Right.
So what we're going to do is, notice how that's tapered. So I'm going to get up here on the far tapered end of it, tie this in by the tip. Tie it pretty tight because we're going to put some pressure on it. We're going to use our hackle pliers on it. So we're going to wind this back up to the, just behind the wings, to the thorax position. Take my hackle pliers.
Those are rotary hackle
pliers. Those are something that I learned from you. I used to use the old type. So now I'm going to just start wrapping this forward, and you'll notice it'll give us a real neat little segmented
look.
Great. We're just kind of clearing the wing with it.
But that rotary plier really gives you the ability to match that just right and get the taper in it.
See, I'm trying to get those segments into position.
Right. Now you're coming to the wing.
We're probably as far forward as we need to be, so we're just going to tie it off right here. We'll just push those wings a little bit forward. Slide our scissors in there so we don't cut the wing. And then I'm going to take some of this dubbing. We want some dubbing that's approximately the same color. It doesn't have to be exact. And this is super fine dubbing. Real tight synthetic dubbing. We want this tight as opposed to a nymph, so I'm just going to take some of this off and really spin it on there very fine, because then we can control it. So many mistakes I see with tying dry flies is putting too much dubbing on at once. A little bit on there, and then you can add more if you need to. And we're just going to kind of pick up this where the segmentation left off, and we're pushing this up against the wing, but we're not figure-eighting the dubbing through the wing. Now what we're going to do is push the wings back. I'll just hold them out of the way, and then we'll push this dubbing up against the wings there, and that really puts them into position. When I tie this fly, I will put a little hackle in here. Tie 2 wraps behind the wing and 2 in front, and then clip it on the bottom. Then you can look out there and this thing isn't so flat on the water. But for the river, the fish tend to take these a little better if you don't have the hackle on them. So now we've built up the thorax. Got a little fine little head on there, and we'll just finish this thing off. Now this is size 14. I'll tie them usually in 14s or 16s.
There it is.
But you know, we saw all kinds of those things on the water first thing this morning.
Sure did.
And that looks a lot like them. And the fish take this pretty good once you really get them on the water and once they get tuned into it.
Now what sizes are you looking at?
Well, a 14 and a 16 generally. Sometimes I'll tie them in 18s. It'll surprise you that mayflies get smaller as the season goes on. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, well, yeah, the pale morning duns do.
All of them do.
Yeah.
The same species will get smaller. Like these will start out in early July as a 14. In September they're maybe an 18. So anyway, that's our Calabeatis.
Good. That's perfect.